Hello, everybody, and welcome to Arsen Girl Gaming. My name is Heather, and I thank you for joining me for a Sims 4 speed build. This is a special little build for me because it started out as just a tiny house build, and somehow along the way it morphed into so much more. So it's still a tiny house, and I did build it based on some plans that I found on the internet. And I'm going to actually post those or show those to you here so you can see what this house was modeled after. I'm not even going to say it's supposed to look like it because I took some liberties, but this is what it was supposed to look like. Anyway, as I was building this, I started to see a theme emerge and kind of ran with it. And in the end result, this ended up probably being one of my favorite builds that I've done lately. And it's too small, unfortunately, for me to really spend much time playing with it the way I tend to play The Sims 4. But it is going to be something I think that I may revisit a little bit over the next month. And as we progress through this, you'll see why I say that. It is October and Halloween is coming. And as the title of this video gave away, this is a Sims 4 trick-or-treat tiny house. So my story behind it is that this is a tiny house in the middle of suburbia, and the single person that lives here, though there could eventually be a couple, but the single person living here is very much into Halloween and loves the neighborhood kids, loves the neighborhood, and wants to be a part of that. So they made this house very inviting to anybody who's out trick-or-treating. You can tell right from the street that the person that lives here is totally into this holiday, and they are welcoming. There's plenty to do in the yard, plenty to see, lots of decorations you'll see as we get through. Of course, right now I'm just building it. As you can see, I struggled really hard with this roof. I wanted it to be a lot like the house that I showed you that I'm modeling this after, and with our build tools it really wasn't as easy to do as I thought it was going to be. So that's why it ends up looking a little bit different. But this is the final build result. Like, this is how I'm going to kind of leave it, and I like the way it turned out, and it's enough of a similar look to the model that I was going off of that I feel that, you know, I stayed true enough to that. That is how I'm just going to do a whole series of these builds with these tiny houses, because I feel like it's a really good way for me to hone my building skills. And because I don't have a lot of creativity when it comes to building these houses, it helps to have something to kind of go off of, if that makes sense. But I ended up really adoring this house. This kitchen, probably one of my favorites that I've done. And it's not because it's anything exciting, but because while it's compact, it's huge. Like, if I had to live in this house, I could totally do it. It has all the creature comforts that I need, and it has plenty of storage space, which is what I was working on. Because, you know, if you live in a tiny house, or you watch any of those tiny house shows, or you're even thinking about someday taking the tiny house plunge, storage is a big issue. And so I could never, ever do it if I didn't have a lot of storage. And at the same time, I want a lot of windows. So, and I don't want it to feel tiny. So while the footprint might be small, the living areas may not be huge, I want it to have enough space that it's not claustrophobic. These people, and I'll probably build some of these, but people that are buying these 150 square foot houses kill me, because to me a tiny house is like 500 square feet. And when you go less than that, then I feel like that's a micro house. And I don't know how people can exist, especially if there's more than one person living in the house. And of course, if I was to go tiny, I would absolutely need to have like a luxury. So you'll probably not see me do a whole lot of tiny house builds that don't have a lot of high-end features and finishes because, I mean, if you're going tiny, do it in style. And so, yeah, so that's what I tried to do here. I wanted it to be comfortable. I didn't want it to feel pretentious, obviously, because it is a tiny house, but I wanted it to feel expensive. So I think I got a pretty good mix of that. And I used the lighting from the Fitness Stuff pack, which I am so obsessed with these lights. They're probably my favorite lights in the game. Here you can see I'm trying to actually like get lights to fit in that roof area. I failed miserably, so I ended up just taking them out of the build altogether. But I gave it a college try, and yeah. So and now I'm just gonna work on the bedroom. I want this to be just a little bit feeling different than the downstairs, a little cozier, a little homier, and of course we need a full-on closet because I mean you need storage, right? I like to make sure there's plenty of room to sit. One thing I did do, and spoiler alert, I did not end up putting in a computer in this house, and I'm not exactly sure why I didn't do that, but I think it's the first time I've ever built a house where I haven't put a computer in of some sort because for me, a computer is almost as essential as breathing, and that typically shows up everywhere I build. But I was playing in the house after I finished it, and I was like, oh, there's no computer in here. Still haven't added one, but I probably will if I continue to play this house. I will be uploading this house to the gallery. There is no custom content, so if you'd like to download it, feel free. It is loaded up from many of the packs, and of course, as I started, I will list all the packs that I own below in the description because there could be parts from any of those packs in this game. If you download my house and you don't have the packs that I used, then the items just will not show up and you can replace them with something that's in a pack that you do own, and it works out just fine. So I mean, I wouldn't worry about it too much if you don't have them, but I do like you just to be aware of what could possibly have been used. And I even think in the gallery now I've started noticing that on a lot of the things that EA and Maxis are saying, like this item or this house or this room or this whatever has pack or pieces from different packs. So you can kind of know before you download it. But so you see the theme I was going with was orange. This was not intentional because like I said, when I started this build, I had no intention of making it a Halloween build. However, I start going through and getting clutter for the kitchen and all the stuff I want in the kitchen. And as you can see, I pulled out some of the Halloween decorations because I'm like, it's almost October, why not? And then I just kind of ran with it. I did make, and you'll see this too, I don't think it's been on here yet, but one of the lot traits is that this lot is haunted. So, yeah, there's that. But it's a friendly ghost, like Casper or something. I don't think it's a mean ghost, you know. But I did come in here and we did lots of clutter. So one of the things I like to do when I do builds, and something I'm trying to do more often, is to have like a closet or a butler's pantry or something where I can keep a lot of the kitchen stuff out of sight and behind walls where it's not taking up a lot of room in the kitchen, but it's still all available there for the people living in the house. And then another thing that I think I'm going to start doing is pulling out a lot of the clutter and just loading it all up in a room so that I can easily just disperse it without having to keep digging for it. This seemed to work really well. And it made it a lot easier to kind of place things. The only trouble I really had when placing things was that I wanted to put a lot of stuff on the shelf in the pantry, and a lot of the items were designed just for countertops. So because I had the shelving in there, it would not go on the shelves, which is why I did end up adding that bottom layer of counters. And yeah, so, and then the other thing I thought about when I was finished is I could have gone into the buy debug or build buy debug, I think it's buy debug menu, and pull out a bunch of clutter from that to put in the closet as well. So if you guys play, you can do that with testing cheats enabled. Oh, here we go. Here's where I I picked the lot traits. So they should be fun traits to make it enjoyable to kind of trick or treat, hang out. And here I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do the driveway. Do I want a carport? I really like this like greenhouse thing as a carport, but it just didn't end up working in this build. And then I was kind of playing with the idea of doing like a back patio, and instead I decided to do a pond because I love doing these little swimming ponds with these forests and trees, and I love it. I need bigger backyards though, so that I don't have it as close to the house, because it's really hard to kind of design in there when you can't see and the trees are almost impossible to get out of the way when you're trying to do something. So note to self, lay down the pond, decorate the pond, then put all the trees in later. But as you'll see at the end of this, that the layout of the pond and the trees just, I love it. This is the second one I've done like this. My other tiny house build that I did a while back has it as well. I love it. I do put a ladder in so that my Sims can actually use it as a swimming pool. And it's probably one of the favorite things that I have started doing. I like it so much better than a pool. So you'll probably see it in a lot more of my builds, just because I think it can get really creative. And you see I put all kinds of decorations out here. Ended up changing the trim around the windows to be black. I needed something to have a little bit more pop to it because the house looked kind of bland from the outside. And then of course with the trees or the bushes out front, I did go yellow and orange in ode to Halloween, of course. So here I'm just kind of filling in the forest because I don't like to have the trees and then have you be able to see through to the other lots. I want it to be just dense. And then I'll of course hide the pond here too. I like to do a lot of greenery, a lot of trees, and then I like to throw in color with the pops from the flowers, just like you would find in a real forest. Because, I mean, who wouldn't want this to be their backyard? I'm just saying, I would want this to be my backyard. So, thankfully, that is what I designed this for, because I'll probably never have this as my real backyard, so Fantasyland, that's what The Sims is. My fantasy playground. So anyway, yeah, and then I go in and try to cover up, of course, all the edges of the pool. I do put in, this is something from Simarchy, Stephanie Simarchy. She is linked on my channel page if you want to go check her out. But one of the tricks that she did, one of the things I got from her was when you do ponds and stuff like this, take wallpaper and flooring and put them in the pool as well to help darken the color. And then the other thing that I did is I took some of the like air vents from the pool and I put them in there so that they kind of bubble up and make the water look like it's a little alive. So yeah, so there you guys have it. This is my tiny house trick-or-treat, or my trick-or-treat tiny house build. And of course, I'm going to show you around here in just a moment. But if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you watched. And of course, if you'd like to see more of my videos and you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, tell YouTube you want to get notifications when I post something on the channel, and YouTube will make sure you don't miss out on anything. So let's go take a look at the finished product. I hope you enjoy it.